Welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts and this is True Divine 44. Thank you for liking, sharing and subscribing. I really do appreciate it. Remember to go grow the audience elsewhere as well. You can find me in all of the socials in the description box below. Again, I appreciate the support. I really do. And it brings in more business for me. So I really do appreciate what you do there. So this is a writing on the wall. And it's just a sort of another talk about a meditation. It's something that I've mentioned to Wayne in the past, other people in the past, of seeing these streams of consciousness. And if our consciousness is linked to what we see today, i.e. The consciousness level dictating how the reality is played out, experienced, etc., then you've got to notice this hunger that we have for guilt, for fear, almost an addiction to drama. As a collective, I mean, there's people that aren't and move much more freely in this reality, but they're harder to spot and feel because of the overarching energy of this hunger for the guilt, the fear, the need to be controlled in some way, shape or form, the need to take direction of others in some way, shape or form. You see it prevalently through all religions, through the judicial system, through the political system. You see it through the school systems. A lot of the teachings being that of attention for that would be naughty in schools, not so much attention for the good and the guilt that is played out on other children in the classroom when one child has been naughty, things like that. You see it really prevalently, and it's become more and more noticeable to me over the last 5-10 years in particular. And that's maybe just because I reached a level again of where I was seeing it more, recognizing it more, running away from it more, not wanting to be a part of that. And so you wonder how we get here, and you realize that, you know, there are children stunted at an age. They can see a picture, they can be shown an image, they can be shown a movie, they can be shown behavior, a certain experience, and that experience, it gets buried real deep. But you can find when you're helping people, especially with the spiritual coaching side of things that I do and the reading that I do, you can see that there's a pattern to a lot of people in that they attract in certain things that will reflect a experience, even if it was just a fleeting one, particularly aired on the side of a fearful experience, an upsetting experience, traumatic experience as a child. And you can see how they sort of have attracted in various different characters into their life, myself included, that would energetically reflect that or an aspect of the very thing that scarred them as a child. And you can see when I look into through meditation into consciousness and trying to grasp the concept of the real hidden but very much apparent, I see it very much as streams, as veins, and you can see these different channels of consciousness, and you can pick up on the energetic force behind them. You can feel it. You know, if I take myself in and I'm in this dark space, and a little bit like our nerve pathways light up, you know, these different channels and avenues that you can sort of immerse yourself in and feel the consciousness level or the reality of that consciousness. But it's not a one collective consciousness. Again, there's layers of it, it seems, in that there is this level that certain people have reached, where they do have this consciousness at a level of telepathy on steroids, where they can pick up on others who've reached that level too. But the more majority of the streams that I see is this layer where there is these streams of consciousness that are very much limited to their awareness of the stream right next to them, or the stream always right next to them. It's just there, but they're very, very unconscious of it. And this gets me to thinking, well, I ask myself why, when I'm sort of seeing that as a visual, why would that be? Why can I have my toe in one side of this channel, of this stream of consciousness, and a toe in the other? Yet there is, I can feel that these sets of people that belong to these streams do not see each other, or do not experience enough of each other. So they either hardly know they exist, and or they are so disconnected from them, they have the capacity to actually attack each other because it's so foreign to them. And so you look at these layers of how long this has been going on, and in particular this big hijack that I've always felt, and you can see that these channels are very much created in that I think the channels are always the way that they would be, the same way all of the streams will lead to a lake, and and collect, and then the sea. And so you've got this, I think that was always the key, that was always apparent. So I ask myself further, so again, it's the intent. What kind of walls have been put up around these different streams so that they can't see or empathize with one another? And you realize it's not that, it's these bridges that have been taken down. And like I've spoken about a lot in the past with Yggdrasil, the rainbow that you see on the imagery of that, I've always seen that as the rainbow of energetic transference, of the transferable energy. And it's depicted as a rainbow, which would represent the colors within us of our energetic points. And it would stand to reason that, the more consciousness that you have, the more level up you've gotten to, regarding at the point of, in this life, whatever you transfer to the next. It stands to reason to me that you could very easily be limited to just red if you've done only a certain type of work in this life, if you're limited to maybe red and green, or red and half a green, or and you go through them. So it stands to reason for me, the more I level up, the more I experience, the more I learn, the more I seek, then the more colors I've given myself, i.e. the more choices I've got as to which streams I can then move in and out of, and not just be stuck in one. The same way I picture myself and try and level up to the point constantly of being able to move in and out of the different streams of consciousness while I'm in this life, if that all makes sense. So it's these rainbow bridges. If that is an energetic bridge from this life to transition into another, then it would stand to reason to me they didn't even have to put walls up. They just had to have create different experiences for different types of children that would become divided cultures, divided religions, divided everything by something as insignificant and as beautifully significant at the same time as skin color. So they can set up that because of these systems that we gave ourselves over to, or gave over the power for, to a few, or it was taken. Then these systems that are built up can very much, the same policing system can be taught to or told to subjugate one aspect of the culture. So even though they're living in the same city, maybe one aspect of the culture has a very different experience of the police, of the politicians, And even somebody who's living next door of a different skin color, let's say, will have a very different experience, you know, by the very same authorities. All of that acts to create different types of, and if I was intelligent enough and if I had more time to waste, I would do a statistical graph almost of okay, so what kinds of childhood traumas are seen prevalently over the divisions that have been made by certain skin colors, by certain religions, by certain ways of living, by certain political preferences. You would see that there was a pattern, I feel, to whatever division you've been put into, of the types of traumas that is deliberately put out there for that division to feel. And so all of this takes away the ability to cross that energetic rainbow, to be able to experience another stream's consciousness. Because with that, animosity is built. So the division initially made between these streams, or these streams having the ability to recognize and empathize with one another, would then, there would be jealousy formed because of the differences that were shown by the same bodies, the same controlling bodies, whether that be a church or whether that be government. And etc., etc. You can see that they would break down that rainbow bridge by then allowing the people to again do the job, give the power over to being fooled enough to either on one side of the coin enjoy an easier ride from the authorities, to on the other side of the coin, you know, not enjoying an easier ride. So selfishly enough, it could be that, and this is way, way, way back, but you know, the same traits are found in humanity today, in that, you know, your ego and your safe place of feeling better off than another to you, those divisions created that. So, you know, you're not going to maybe stand up and fight to say, well, no, I want to be treated the same as that, because again, the fear of them being treated as the other side of the coin will keep a lot of people shut up. And then the other side of the coin, looking and realizing that, you know, if I'd been stopped for that, or if I had done this, or if I had done that, this would have happened, you know. So they've gotten really good at breaking down these energetic bridges. And even through, I feel, childhood scarring being very much like this thing, like directed towards a similarity throughout that division, would create an even bigger separation. Because as a child, if we can experience such trauma from one image, let alone a full-blown and constant experience or attack, then it would stand to reason that that energetic bridge will be broken down so much more. And then at the same time, you have this animosity building on either side. All of a sudden, different streams of consciousness not even being able to recognize that the same bodies are abusing them in what may seem on the surface like very different ways, but energetically at the start abusing children, making sure that they see things they shouldn't see, or are made to do things that they are not made to do. And they can't recognize that. Now that would be part of our root as well. So if we can't recognize or even empathize with the stream next to us, that would say that we cannot really truly, and have been taught not to, as time has gone on, to not even empathize or recognize ourselves. So it really is all of the air It really is for us to become the air bender, the energetic bender in our consciousness. To not be put in boxes by these divisions, because it's so much more damaging than we even first realize. That the damage is also layered. And in the physical, it is layered because so much time has gone on and so much power is being given over to these beings and so much little recognition of self. We see now that they've had a long time to perfect the art. So we're coming in, we're being born into the childhood traumas even of our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and further and further and further on. Always then doing the job for them, attracting in that same energy into your life. Sometimes you don't even know why. Sometimes you even hear that voice in your head saying, this isn't right. This does not resonate. But for some reason, you still go through with that relationship. You still continue that friendship. So we do all of those things, and you can often see in people's physical lives and looking at their grandparents, parents' physical lives that they had similar experiences. That even now domestic violence seems to run through family trees. Sexual assault running through family trees. So it is so layered, and it brings, I sort of asked myself after that, so why did I go into that? Why did I start to question that? Because it's always about the right question, not even so much the answer. But it really just brought even more of a layer to the statement for me of know thyself. That's where the real power is. So in knowing thyself and being brave enough to really get to know thyself would be to not be too frightened, to look way, way back, to do the work, the meditation, to go back to the womb, to then work through, channel through the same consciousness stream that your DNA is connected to, channel back and, look at the scarring that needs to be lasered, that doesn't need to be carried anymore. It brings more importance also to they really are terrified. These beings behind in the shadows, they are terrified of us really knowing our power. Of us truly being able to let go of the superficial divisions that have been placed around us, around our physicality and around our streams of consciousness. That would actually be one of the greatest powers, to be able to recognize that as children, and our children now, these scars were needless, and we can take our power back by being brave enough to go through them and building up that energetic bridge, that rainbow bridge, that would then even give us a way of empathizing with a completely different cultural consciousness. And all I can see when I visualize that is then the layers of consciousness pool together more as they go up, as they're able to look past the physical and mental scarring, being brave enough to really deeply look at it and deal with it, transmute it. That kind of unity did exist, I feel, and will exist again, but not for a long time if things continue as they're continuing. And so it was just a meditation, a questioning of self, a writing down of the thoughts that came through after those questions, after those visualizations. And this would be the knowledge to know that we are infinite, but we have allowed the power to divide us into such small pieces that we forget that. And it might be an easy term to say right now with this great awakening, but to really grasp the concept of that is almost an energy. To enter into that energy as I did, it felt almost like an energy that's pulling you in, but at the same time repelling you. The same way that certain spirits come around you, for want of a better word, and the body reacts, the hair on your arms stand up, and you know the tingling feeling can happen, and various other things where the body is responding much more than the spirit even is. And it's because I've explained this to Theodore, that, well, to me, it's of a different frequency, Theo, that's how I feel it. And so sometimes that frequency can feel real odd to your body. It can feel real strange to your body because it's not a frequency that you are prevalently in. So your body will respond. So it's almost that feeling, but way, way up there, way, way exaggerated, of to truly step into that looping of the divine feminine, the divine masculine, to truly let go of the physical and enter into that infinite feeling. Sometimes you just want to stay there at the same time. But the density that we've been living under for so long, you realize that you can't really carry it all the time with you under these systems. So we have to regularly, I feel, remind ourselves to be doing the energy work, to be going within, to be stepping into that space where we recharge, where we feel, and not just on a physical level. The physical level doesn't touch it. And I think it's a gift that we're here in this realm, but there are gifts here and then gifts in this experience. But in the same time, we must recharge in the other aspects of ourselves, the occult, the hidden of ourselves, to really recharge, to really balance out both existences. It's a bit like we've been going on for too long without having these deep thoughts, without asking ourselves the same questions, the right questions, to get an adequate answer for ourselves. It's as if the Two of Pentacles that makes the figure of 8. And I'll always say, you can only juggle for so long. It's tiring. In the traditional cards, it's somebody juggling 2 pentacles held in a way that it makes the figure of 8. And this is where you have to balance out in the tarot 2 material aspects of your life usually. But for me, it goes further than that. It would be to balance out the riches of the other aspects of yourself in order to not throw yourself into too much of one and ignore the other. Because it's at that point that you drop those pentacles. It's at that point that you lose that infinite loop, that feeling of infinity, that feeling of I can bring anything from there and bring anything from here and meld it together. I can recharge myself. When we recognize that kind of power within ourselves, when enough people are doing that, then this place starts to look very, very different. But at this point, even that is superficial, because there are many, many, many not doing it. And so it seems this cycle, this hijack is going to go on for quite a bit longer. And it's a case of, so find it for yourself. Concentrate on yourself. Concentrate on doing that yourself. At least that way, if you're still in a loop of I've got to save the world, I've got to lift this, then you're bringing that resonance with you in your physicality and in your spirit. You're bringing a supercharge with you. So you're still having a huge effect, but you'll have no effect if you ignore this spiritual aspect of yourself and go too much into the physical, and vice versa. It's this balance. I think it's at this point that we start to build those bridges, not only for ourselves, but think about it, the more energetic bridges that are built from our own energy points, reaching out however far, the more bridges that are built that way, the more energy points that are online and in alignment that way, we're going to start crossing each other. We're going to start crossing each other more and more. Again, and then it'll be more of a frequency understanding of I am you and you are me. In that even without the physical ratio, that's when people country to country will really feel each other. That's when the likes of telepathy will come back. The density will carry it. The lifting of the density will carry it. So that was the writing on the wall. That was a rant, meditation, talk, whatever you want to call it. Please leave a comment. I appreciate them all. And make sure you're subscribed for sure. Any readings that you would like, I'm good at what I do. Hit me up at truedivinemedia@gmail.com. Doing great work with the energy sessions. Something I'd ignored for a while, being on my tangent. Not a tangent, but I needed to do that work, and I've done what I can do there. Coming back to this, and what I can do is help people bring their energy into alignment, help them get it into flow, and use that to build their own energetic bridges. And so this is on the back of a lot of that work that I've been doing, and concentrating again on these same thoughts that I've had in the past and knowings that I've had in the past. So if you want to book in for those, again, you can hit me up on the socials, or if you've got my number, of course you can, but message me at truedivinemedia@gmail.com. We'll set up a group one. We've got some real good key people that came on the group ones that I tried to get set up, and then things got a bit crazy. So they'll be there, no doubt. At least a few of them will get there, no doubt. And they'll help carry the space also. So that would be real cool to do more of those group ones on Zoom. Again, connecting country to country. And I've got some plans for some surprise things if I can pull them off, to lift some energy en masse. So let's manifest that all pulls off. So much going on, much to do. The best way a Gemini can be is busy, and the best way an Aquarian barbarian can be is busy. So Theo's helped me with a lot of those plans. As you all know, Theo is an energetic force. William's doing awesome, and Abby got the job that she wanted. She's really appreciative of all the good thoughts, but it's the perfect job for now while she finishes her studies, and she's having a lot of fun with it. And it just shows, if you're a company who is going to really care for your staff, really look after your staff will dance into work. And the difference between her old job and this job is so vast, and so pleasurable for her, in that she said it's like it's a different world. I'm so glad I still found somewhere like this that people can work, because she was getting despondent. So she's doing that while she's setting up on her own, making bridles and stuff for the horses. So much love, balance and wholeness always. Mwah.